Today we're talking about 5 of my favorite Christmas films of all time that I watch every year without fail. It's something about watching those same Christmas movies every single year without fail that kind of seals the deal that it is in fact the holiday season for me. I think it's that way for everybody, but it definitely helps that I'm a filmmaker. It's just one of the best things. We have some fun film facts about those movies as well, but before we get into that, I wanted to remind you again about the donate button that you'll see either to the side of the video or below it. It is the holiday season, the season of giving, and we want to come together as a community to help those who are having a more difficult time than maybe we are. It was a tough year for everyone, and for those of us that are a little luckier and have the ability to, let's come together as a community and help those families in need. This week, again, we have Toys for Tots. It's the second week in a row that we're doing that because I really do think that giving parents the ability to gift their children a toy or whatever it is they're wanting for this holiday season really does help a lot to boost hope and happiness. And that's definitely something that we need right now. So again, if you do have the means, consider hitting that donate button. And jumping right into my list, which of course is my personal subjective list, which is in no particular order because it's impossible to pick a number one for me out of these films. They're just fantastic Christmas films. But the first one up is Home Alone, which is also easily one of the most iconic films ever made, let alone one of the best Christmas films ever made. And something that's really interesting around this film is that the studio, the original studio that had it, shut it down. The budget ballooned from $10 million to $14.7 million, so Warner Brothers pulled the plug. But the writer, John Hughes, weeks before secretly met with 20th Century Fox and gave them a copy of the script, which they loved. So when the plug was pulled at Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox just stepped in, took over the film, and continued making it, which ended up making almost $500 million, which at the time was the third highest grossing film of all time, let alone what it's made since then. There's an excellent series on Netflix called Movies That Made Us with a ton of awesome facts on this film, including the one I just mentioned. All the episodes that they do on Die Hard, Ghostbusters, and this film are great, so definitely check that out. Another fact that I love about this film, which is somewhat of a well-known fact, is that Macaulay Culkin actually did ad-lib to some extent the hands on the face scream moment. He was supposed to put the clone on his face, take his hands away, and then scream, but instead of taking his hands away, he kept them on and screamed, which created one of the most iconic images of all time in film. And I just think that's really interesting how often you hear moments like that happening out of a happy accident or an improv. It just makes you wonder if the plan would have gone to plan, would it have been as iconic? Next up, we have a film that I really adore and is an absolute hug of a movie, and that is It's a Wonderful Life. And the most interesting thing about this film is it actually began as a Christmas card. Not a literal Christmas card, but we'll get to that. Even though this is arguably one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time, this film had a really hard time getting made in the beginning. Going way back to a novella, The Greatest Gift, the writer, Philip Van Dorn Stern, tried for years to get this published, and after no one showed any interest, he just said, screw it, it's a present for my friends now, and printed up to 200 copies of his short story and sent it all out as a 21-page Christmas card. Because of that, a producer at RKO Pictures got his hands on it, saw the potential, and bought the film rights for $10,000, and that ended up getting sold to Frank Capra in 1945. But then, after the film was finally made and released, it kind of bombed at the box office, and Frank Capra, who financed the film, lost $500,000. It's just crazy to me that a film this iconic had such a hard time getting made and then wasn't that successful when it first came out. It's really uplifting and an inspiration to the idea that maybe the thing that you love so much that you're having a hard time getting other people to see how great it is, maybe that doesn't mean that it's not great. It just means that they can't see that thing. So keep pushing toward that idea that you're so in love with. But they also engineered a new type of fake snow for this film. At the time, it was common to take cornflakes and paint them white, but apparently that created an audio issue. So they mixed foamite, the stuff that you find in fire extinguishers, with sugar and water, and boom, less noisy snow. Then we have the Polar Express. Back when this film was made, motion capture was a relatively new process, and at the time most famously used for Gollum in Lord of the Rings by Andy Serkis. But this was the first movie filmed entirely with motion capture. Robert Zemeckis loves him some Tom Hanks, as we all do. He was in earlier films with him like Castaway and Forrest Gump, but in this one, he really showed his love for the Hanks, giving him 7 different roles in the film. Hanks plays the narrator, the train conductor, a hobo, Santa, the Ebenezer Scrooge marionette puppet, the lead boy, and his father. Of course, Zemeckis also directed another iconic film, Back to the Future, so why not add a Back to the Future Easter egg? The Lone Pine Mall, where Marty McFly first time travels, is shown in a photograph of Santa on strike. Then in the engine room, the flux capacitor is seen on the wall. Then he references this line.
I wanted to do that all my life!
I've wanted to do that my whole life!
Then replicates this shot exactly. I remember when the film first came out, people complained about a level of uncanny valley because the characters' faces didn't quite move to the level that we were used to with animation, but I have always loved this film. It's one of those movies, I think the score is a big part of it, that just feels like Christmas. The score, the bell, the sounds, everything about it just feels like Christmas to me. So this one is usually one that I'm watching for Christmas Eve to prep me, for the main event. Next up is The Muppets Christmas Carol, which is a film that holds a very special place in my heart. I've talked about it on the show before, but it's one that I watch every year with pretty much my entire family, and we sing along to all the songs. It's something that we've been doing for as long as I can remember, but something I didn't know until we were looking up facts for these movies is that originally in the theatrical version, one of the songs that we love to sing along to because it's kind of hilarious was not in the film. It ended up getting put back for some home releases and several TV airings back when it was first released, and newer editions of the film don't include the song either. And that is because this is the cringiest, longest song ever, and that's why I love it. There's been a few years where we had the wrong version of the film, had to stop the film and find the song on YouTube because you can't skip the song. It's easily my personal favorite version of A Christmas Carol, so if you have not seen it, definitely check it out. And if you didn't like it, keep it to yourself. And the last film on my list, which is also the newest film on my list, and once I saw it, it was just an instant Christmas classic for me, but that is Klaus. This one is actually 2D and definitely one of the most gorgeous looking animated films that I have seen in a very long time. And although it is 2D, it has a very three-dimensional look, and the way that they gave it that 3D feel is through volumetric lighting and texturing to make it look 3D, which is just a testament to the absolute skill of the artists involved. Starting in April 2015, the film was shopped around to many studios who saw it as too risky until Netflix finally picked it up in November of 2017. So for 2 full years, people denied this little gem. The film then went on to be Netflix's first Academy Award nomination for an animated film. So just like It's a Wonderful Life, it's a film that is absolutely great, but other people couldn't see the greatness in it. But those are my 5 favorite Christmas films to watch every year, and not a year goes by that I don't watch all 5 of them. I mean, Klaus is new to the list, but every year from here on out. But if you're looking to make some Christmassy content of your own this year, a great place to go for music for that content is Artlist. Most of us don't compose our own music, or we're looking for something that's a little more needle drop, like something playing on a radio or a party, and for that, Artlist is excellent. It's a powerful music licensing platform created by filmmakers for filmmakers. With thousands of new songs and a full year of unlimited downloads, you can find the music that you need for whatever that film is that you're working on. Music licensing is often a complicated, expensive mess, which does slow us down and get in the way of the creative process. But with direct and unlimited access to Artlist's entire catalog of music for a single annual subscription fee, you can download as many styles as you'd like to try different ideas in your edit. It's a great way to boost the value of your project, but also to help you think in different directions than you would have otherwise. So definitely check a link in the notes below for that. We also have links to our blog there for you. Of course, we have Cullen Kelly, who's written a few blogs for us about color grading, really sort of a 101 look into the science behind color, from how we perceive it to how to actually implement it to your monitor. It's really the stuff that you need to know if you're wanting to take your image to that next level of polish. So definitely check that out as well. And don't forget about that donate button if you do have the means to give. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.